It finally happened, brother. It finally happened. And not to sound like a hater, because I'm not going to say I'm a Miami fan, but I like what they've been putting together this year. Mario Cristobal seems like he's pulled it together well. Cam Ward, they have a superstar at him, a Heisman contender. I mean, Damian Martinez, Xavier Restrepo, but we know the defense for Miami has been a big liability. They finally lose their first game of the year. They fall to Georgia Tech, who upset your Noles at the start of the season. They lose 28-23 in Atlanta at Bobby Dodd Stadium. Did you learn anything new about Miami? And give me some of your takeaways as well, man.
We did learn some new things. I'll get to that in just a minute. I'm smiling still on the inside with the garnet and gold blood in my veins.
Yeah.
I know we're terrible, but I don't care. Miami lost makes me happy. Um,
Right. Right.
I said it weeks ago, when we were talking about Duke or Georgia Tech, one of them would be the one to do it, and Georgia Tech finally did it.
Yep.
Looks like we were right.
Mm-hmm.
Miami playing these close games, depending too much on Cam Ward. I mean, he is a field general. He's great.
Yep.
But Georgia Tech has Miami's number 2 years in a row now.
That's right.
Last year, they lost off of some play they shouldn't have even called. They should have just kneeled the ball and they strip it and go to the end zone. And
Mm-hmm.
this year, it comes down to the wire.
Mm-hmm.
It was a fun one to watch, though.
It was.
Georgia Tech managed to score in every quarter. That was what was the most important for
Right.
them. They
Right.
scored a touchdown every quarter. Something you have to do with a team like Miami, because
Especially
you
with that
know
number one offense in the country.
Cam Cam being the field general he is, he can make something out of nothing. So
Mm-hmm. Definitely
um,
a superstar.
what hurt Miami was not scoring at all in the second quarter.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
For sure.
And to be honest with you, man, they can't afford to really lose another game because
No.
I'm not saying that they're going to be out of playoff contention or even out of the ACC championship because,
Right.
they're just a one-loss team, and so is SMU, and they're looking at
Yeah.
that ACC championship and they're looking at a playoff spot,
Yeah.
and they're a pretty good team, man. They stomped FSU into the dirt, so
Right.
they beat them worse than Miami beat us. So
Right.
um, but I'm gonna let you take away with it.
No, you're good. I'm actually looking up. I feel like, okay, no, they don't. Miami does not play SMU to finish the year, but they'll more than likely
They're
play
lucky.
SMU yeah, they are, because I think they would drop that game. More than likely going to play SMU in the ACC title game. I'm with you though. I mean, when you have, the last 2 games on your schedule with, those opponents not being really anything, can you really guarantee that Miami with a one loss, number 1 offense in the country, they haven't played anybody? Yes, they've had the ACC play that's been tough for them, but it has not been very impressive for, one, the
Right.
teams that Miami's been beating, and 2, when you look at the Cal game, when you look at the Virginia Tech game, when you look at the Duke game, you look at the Louisville game, and then it finally rears its ugly head in the Georgia Tech game as well. The defense was really bad on third down against Georgia Tech, but it's going to be tough because, they got to win the ACC chip definitely to get in. And I don't know if they'll do that against SMU. I think they are good enough to do it, but SMU smells blood in the water. They've been playing their ass off. They're the first team out. Like, they will be seething. Well, not seething, that's kind of the wrong word, but they will be foaming at the mouth at this game when, not if, when they get the chance to play Miami in the ACC championship. Cam Ward can only be Superman for so long, man, before that Miami defense breaks, which of course it did. I thought Jamal Haynes, big time statement run in this game, 65 yards on the
Mhm.
second play from scrimmage, obviously the eventual score later on. Miami should feel really lucky that he only had 3 rushing attempts in this game and then went out with the injury, because that really could have been a game changer there. Miami turns around, says, hold my beer, 78-yard touchdown pass to the tight end to answer immediately. I think it was the first or second play for Miami on the following drive as well. I thought Georgia Tech's defense, I want to give a shout out to Georgia Tech's defense. Brent Key got these guys motivated. I'll be honest, I don't
Mhm.
know the defensive coordinator's name, but the head coach definitely got his guys juiced up. Excuse me, playing at home. They had a 4th and 3 stop. That's so funny. Siri just came on like I'm actually,
Mhm.
excuse me, like I'm actually talking. That's so funny. What did I even say? Anyways, so big time 4th and 3 stop from Georgia Tech. It was really pivotal. They had another one on 4th and 1 that was early in the third quarter. Both of those times Georgia Tech was up 14-10 and they got the stop. Georgia Tech never let go of the lead again once they went up 14-10. And just to be honest, Cam Ward was pretty sloppy on both of those fourth down plays.
Oh
And
yeah,
Miami was 1 for 4
absolutely.
on the day on fourth down. I thought Georgia Tech did a great job stopping Miami on those pivotal fourth downs. And we already know Georgia Tech, they're one of the best rushing offenses in the country. They're so creative. They don't let up. They did not let up in this game to the tune of 271 rushing yards. They had 8 different people have a rushing attempt in this game. They're switching out their quarterbacks. Haynes King is kind of hit or miss. Jamal Haynes goes out hurt.
Right.
7 guys have 3+ carries. Out of the 8 people that had a rushing attempt, 7 of the 8 had 3+ rushing attempts. 271 yards will beat just about anybody in the sport of football. Pee wee, high school, college, NFL. You're not going to win a football game giving up almost 300 yards. I mean, on the ground, your defense is going to be gassed. They're going to be tired. You remember what it was like earlier in the year against Georgia Tech, and then you turn
Yep.
around and against Boston College, they just run up the checkbook with the rushing yards on the Seminoles.
Yeah,
But it
because
was
everybody
actually
watched tape on that game.
Yep, absolutely. And Georgia Tech ran it up on you guys too. It was a season high given up for Miami on 271 rushing yards. They also gave up 18 first downs as well. Cam Ward had a definitely Sunday worthy NFL throw, a little over the shoulder drop in the bucket touchdown pass to Isaiah Horton to get Miami a little bit back into this game. I want your thoughts real quick on the targeting call. Did you see the targeting call that they had in this game? Where in
Um,
Miami, number 99, kind of a face mask on can't remember the Tech running back, but his helmet's kind of already coming off a little bit. And then 99, I thought just made a great textbook hit, put him on the
yeah,
ground. Um,
yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
go ahead. Go ahead.
There's a lot. There's been a lot of those calls this season that are just
Mhm.
like so close. It's like either way you go, somebody's mad. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I
Just,
feel like
just
when the helmet pops off and someone's head snaps back, it's literally on the referees to call targeting, because if not,
right.
then here comes
If they don't,
everything,
yeah,
exactly from the front offices of college football and whatnot. But I just thought it wasn't a good call, man. I see why they called it, but I thought that was a textbook wrap up hit, tackle, whatever you want to call it.
it's a
Um,
CYA scenario, is what it is, really.
Right. Like
Yeah,
literally, that's the perfect way to put it. And again, like we said, Cam Ward, he can be Superman only for so long. I thought definitely he was trying to do too much on just second down, minute and a half to go in the game. You got 2 timeouts. You don't need the world. And he's trying to come up with anything possible. I get it. You're the superstar. You're the best player on the team, potential number 1 overall pick. You're a big reason why this team is undefeated up until this point.
yeah.
Damn. And then it finally cracks and breaks through. Georgia Tech, they pressured Cam Ward well. I thought the defense, again, big shout out to them. They were great overall, aggressive run game. Never gave up the lead once they went up 14-10. Stopped Miami on fourth down 3 consecutive times as well. And just to put it in a little bit of perspective for Miami as well, since allowing a previous season high of 206 rushing yards against Virginia Tech on September 27th, when the controversial Hail Mary, the Hurricanes had allowed 98 yards on 3.9 yards per carry in the next 4 games before Georgia Tech. Miami, and Miami knew Georgia Tech. This is the funny part. Miami knew Georgia Tech was going to run it. They knew their quarterbacks weren't in the best position. Georgia Tech
Right.
said they were going to pound the football on the ground because Haynes King was banged up, who still came in 20 carries, 93 yards, and a touchdown. So
Yeah.
a little, damn, I got a scratch in my throat. A little embarrassing, I feel like, for Miami not to be able to really snuff that out. Miami also entered the game tied for last in ACC games by allowing 75% of red zone trips by their opponents to result in touchdowns. Georgia Tech had 4 trips. They scored all 4 times. They even got into the red zone a 5th time at the end of the game, but they took a knee in victory formation, of
It,
course.
it's
Go ahead.
almost like they played Miami the same way they played us.
Yeah.
If you really think about how the game played out, it came really close, and it just Georgia Tech, they just they they came out with it, man. I'm
They
proud of
did.
them.
I am too, man. It was a big time win. And if watching the game, it never felt like Miami was in control. I mean, that was
No,
Georgia
not
Tech's
really.
game from the early jump. As soon as they stopped them on fourth, I said that's a tone setter. That's a big time tone setter, and it took
A
them all
run
the way
game
to the
too,
end of the
man.
game. Oh yeah, 271 rushing yards will beat any team, any level of football, any day. I want to get to this question from Emery. Thanks for getting in the comments for
Absolutely.
us, man. So if it ended today, what 2 teams do you think would play in the SEC championship, Alan?
I'm eager to answer this
Such
one.
a tough
It
question
is a
because the
tough
way
question, but
Alabama looked.
I'm gonna go with the battle of the UTs, Tennessee and Texas.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I don't know, man. Let me look up these SEC standings real quick, just because I want to give you a solid answer. And honestly, the last 2 to 4 weeks of college football are going to make everybody's
Really
head
determine
spin.
this. Yes, absolutely.
Yup. So if it, come on now, yeah, I'm looking for SEC standings, not
Yeah,
SBC.
you got to
Hold on.
scroll over. I'm done.
Yeah, I'm like, what is this? Okay, it's right next to SEC. So at the top of the conference, we've got Tennessee, Texas A&M, Texas, Georgia, and Ole Miss. I definitely think the top six teams right after Ole Miss is Alabama as well. Um, that's so tough to
Yeah,
say, Emery.
Alabama could sneak
I'll
in.
right. I'll tell you the teams that I'm not confident in the SEC title game. That's going to be
LSU.
well, yeah, they're not going to be there. They've
I
got
know. I
three
just
losses overall.
had to
Yeah, you
I had to push the slide out there.
right. You had to do it for sure. I'll be honest. Tennessee's got a great defense, but they've shrunk when it really matters. So I'm not super confident about them. Texas A&M is a very north-south team, albeit they are 5-1 in the conference. I would say it's going to come down to Texas, Georgia, Ole Miss, or Alabama, and I would probably go. I don't know, man. I hate to say it, but my heart's pulling at Georgia, Alabama right now. I know that's crazy, but Ole Miss just had this win over
Things have
Georgia.
happened.
Can't right? Can they sustain it? Texas, yes, they've looked good all year, but they've been shaky ever since the Georgia game. And people talking about Texas being the best team in the SEC. I don't know if there's a best team in the SEC. I'll
There's
tell you who I'm
not.
confident about. You know what I mean? It's like you're not looking at
Yeah.
LSU. You're not looking at Missouri. Anyone below that, South Carolina, Vandy, Arkansas, Florida. You're not caring about them. So it's Tennessee, Texas A&M, Texas, Georgia, Ole Miss, Alabama.
Any
I
of
don't
them
know.
can grab it.
Right. Today, confidently, I'm going to say Georgia, Alabama. Um, I could see Tennessee and Texas. I hate to give you such a, kind of rough answer, Emery, but it's so tough to tell with he said he was thinking Alabama, Texas. It's so tough to tell with the way that the SEC
Right.
is actually
It's
playing
crazy
out.
right
But
now.
it is, man. It absolutely is. One last point here about Miami. Their defense allowed Georgia Tech to convert 9 of 14 third downs at 64% completion. To put that in perspective, Miami also allowed 9 of 14 against Virginia Tech earlier in the year, but the other 8 games, they've only been allowing 28% of their third downs. The last time Miami allowed a team to go over 60% on third down, Alabama in 2021. That's the only time in the last 7 years that the Hurricanes have been that bad on defense for for third down. But yes, definitely a big loss for Miami. We see them go down. Absolutely tragic for them. But they're going to have to win out the rest of their schedule, and they're more than likely going to see SMU in that ACC. In that ACC title game.